Bring a Hire Show. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing well. How are you, David?
Good. How's Texas treating you out there?
I've been gone for a month. It's hard to believe. Last time we visited was a month ago, but we've been in Utah for a month, and just got back. And there's nothing like spending some time in the mountains, nice and cool, and then coming back and it's 102 degrees. So it's great.
I don't know how you. I mean, we in PA, we've had the heat and it's been up to 100, but that humidity is just so bad here. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
today the humidity in Dallas is pretty tough. It's definitely rough.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was looking forward to the show today. I love doing it. And Bill, I want to start out. I always like to have you introduce yourself because then I want to do a little bit something different. I want to show everybody your website and try to get everybody to go there and really hit it. And I think people are going to like the website. I got to show you. I love how.
All right.
So if you want to introduce yourself again, and then I'll pull this up.
Yeah, sure. Bill Kasko. I'm the president and CEO of Frontline Source Group. We've been around for 23 years, headquartered in Dallas, nationwide, executive search and staffing agency, professional staffing, everything from the administrative to CEOs, different areas, different specialties that kind of come into place. I mean, we have a lot of unusual ones. We've got a whole group that does nothing but like health, safety, environmental to dentists and hygienists to grocery. So we place grocery store managers, and it's funny every time we kind of go somewhere in the country and people ask me about that. I always bring up Buc-ee's, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we love Buc-ee's," and I'm like, "Well, that's part of the grocery chain." So yeah, we enjoy what we do. That's for sure.
Do you get a lot of discovery calls? Everything companies reaching out from all over. I know you're nationwide, so when you say nationwide, everybody's like, "That's huge," because I always look at it, and I can't wait to show the website. I'm like amazed on how that works because being nationwide, that's got to be, you must have to learn so many different laws and different things of states, of jobs.
Yeah, we do, and it is nationwide. And I think the beauty of it is that after this long and the number of clients that we have all across the country, I mean, we have the largest employer. I guess they're technically considered the third largest employer in the world to people that are 5-person offices. It doesn't make a difference to us. We treat everybody the same. But we also have that luxury, which is such a blessing at the end of the day, to pick and choose who we want to do business with and who we want to work with. And so, it's really nice to know that when we go to work and build that relationship, and we do the discovery calls with our clients, new clients, to build a relationship, to understand, what are they all about? Because when we go out and do an outreach to our candidate pool internally after this many years, with almost we're getting pretty close to 2 million people in our system, which I know it's mind-boggling. And so, it's our reputation on the line. We want to make sure we do the right match, and it's difficult. I mean, that's the one thing about this business is that it's an emotional business. It's all about, I call it the why. Why are they looking to make a change? Why are they looking to hire? And then you try to put all the pieces together and make things happen. And so we've been very successful with the way that we do this. It's a lot different than others. We have people all the time that call David and ask us, they're like, "That's not how you do it." We're like, "Don't tell us how we do this. That's okay if that's what you think, but this is how we do it." And it works for us. It works, and we're very happy with the way that it works, and incredibly proud of our team and group.
I love it, and I even tell people all the time, "Is like, well, what kind of jobs do they have?" Listen, with a staffing company like that, I just tell everybody, upload your resume, because let them. They might not have a job for you today or tomorrow, but I told you before, the last 3 jobs in my career before these last two, I've gotten from direct hires from staffing companies. So I try to tell them, listen, they might not have it now, but then one day, Bill gets this, they put this order, and all of a sudden, wow, you got that database. You might not be happy where you're at. It might be 6 months from now, but then you get a call, say,
no,
hey,
it's true. It's true. And I think that's where that whole disconnect comes in right now with individuals that are looking to make a career change, because everything has changed. The environment has changed. And if you and I age ourselves and we go back and we think about the job boards, I mean, if we go back and we go all the way back to Hot Jobs. Remember Hot Jobs? And Yahoo.
I have not heard that in a long time. Wow.
I mean, Yahoo, think about this. Yahoo owned Hot Jobs.
Right.
And we're talking before Google, right? And that's where we would go, and you'd put your resume up there, and you get phone calls and things. It's not like that anymore. And I have more people that tell me, the people that post, especially like on the Indeeds today and ZipRecruiter, the number of spam or fraudulent stuff that goes on is bad. I mean, it's bad on LinkedIn too. Don't get me wrong. It's bad overall. Yes, we have to protect ourselves. But think about how it's changed. I mean, it used to be simple and easy. You toss something up, somebody would call you, you'd get a phone call back, and it would be great. So, yeah.
Right. Akush says, sorry to interrupt us. For me, nowadays, everyone wants WFH jobs with higher package.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't we all? I mean, we all want a work from home job, right? Yeah. Here's an interesting thing, and I'm glad he kind of brought it up. Think about when we came out of COVID. And here's a couple things to think about right now. 2026. COVID was 2020, technically, right? We consider that? Yeah. Okay, 6 years ago. So in 2020, if we go 6 years back, now let's think about this age group. Right. So that individual who was 16 is 22. They're joining the workforce.
I didn't think of it that way. You're right.
This is really an interesting thing. And so this work from home thing, we went through a period, call it 2022, when people didn't want to go back to the office. I mean, those of us in the working environment during COVID, the hesitation to do that was just horrific, right? I mean, there was PTSD about it. I mean, and I get it, all these issues. And then companies forcing us to come back in, and they were forcing, but they were also being, cognizant of the fact that, it's tough. And so we had that period of a couple of years where it was lenient. Right. Hey, we're going to come in 1 day a week. Then it went to 2 days, then to 3 days, then 4 days. Then you had people quitting, and the Great Resignation took place. And think about it, all lined up exactly the same way that people were like, I don't want to go to the office. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. So it's really interesting that today the work from home people want it. It's a high demand. It is.
But didn't you say the one time on the one show that you feel that it might come back again more?
It will. We're not there yet. It will absolutely come back. And I did say that. The problem is that what we have today are those 16-year-olds who lived through COVID. They weren't working, but they've now gone to college, or they're getting into the work environment, and they want the work from home. Why? Because they watched their parents do it at that time and saw what they were able to do, and they want a whole different type of way of doing things. But the companies still haven't jumped in, and the reason has to do with leases, buildings, assets, and they haven't either figured it out, or you've got some really strong-headed individuals who are like, they have to be in the office. The problem is supply and demand, period. And just recently it came out again on the jobs report, which, forget the numbers, let's just dive into what it really talked about, that there's a shortage, period. And that's all there is to it. The workforce participation rate was down. People are not working as much. So you have a supply and demand issue.
Why do you think that changed so much like that? Like what do you think changed it? The economy, or
partially
are now expensive and all different things?
You had a partial change in the economy getting better. You also had individuals who could have retired and didn't, right? Because everybody was scared. And so just because they were 65 didn't mean they were going to go ahead and retire. They went ahead and extended it. Well, now the economy is doing better. Their 401ks are better, pensions are retired, whatever it may be, have gone up a little bit. They're getting their money. They're like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I just want to work part-time, or I don't want to work at all. And so they've stepped out. And so I think over the last even 6 months, you had quite a few people that just kind of said, you know what? Then I'm going to step back a moment, and I don't want to go in the office either. And so then you all of a sudden have more people saying, I don't want to go in the office. I'm looking for a remote. We get a lot of requests for that. The problem is we still get a lot of clients and employers that are like, no, they have to be in office full time. That's all there is to it. We've got a client in Colorado, which out of all the states in the country that you want to pick to make people come into the office, that might be the worst of all of them, right? Because it's like they don't want to work in the office, and they're adamant that they have to be in the office. And we finally had to say, look, you're not going to find a skill set for an IT person to be in the office working like that in the situation that you're in. It's just not going to happen. You've got to open it up more. Executives need more. I mean, everything he is saying is 100% correct. And I agree. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ankush, I was 100% against it for years. But what I found is that our team is more productive working at home. But what you have to do is have a plan. As a company, in order to make a work from home program work, you have to have a plan. You have to have calls, video calls, communication, which you should have in the office anyway, but you have to figure out how to scale it and do it that way. I don't know that it will change as quick, but I know with the cost of housing, the cost of building anything new, buildings, although I saw this thing in New York City where you were turning, an old, I think it was a Pfizer building into housing and, half of it collapsed. That didn't work out well, but they've got to figure out how to get housing costs down, and these buildings that are there help to do that. And as these leases come up, companies they can dump.
I'm not kidding you. I commented and on the Facebook group about there's a place down for rent by me, and it went $3,000 something a month for a 3-bedroom. Now that house a couple of years ago maybe would have been $1,500.
Right.
And I said, how are people supposed to afford that to look at the work? Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, $3,000, you can't afford to buy a house, and you're going to pay rent for that money. But then how does a family of two, even middle class, take that much money out? Because now it's so expensive for everybody to live. Everybody wants more money. They need to hire
Dallas is a great example. You're talking about one of the hottest markets in the country.
Texas, right? I mean, definitely, right?
Yeah, right here in Dallas. And I'm looking out the window of our corporate office here in downtown. Goldman Sachs building this unbelievable, new little headquarters deal here right in Uptown. Just massive growth taking place. But for a family of four to buy a home, when and I don't care what they say, to have a home, good schools for your kids, you're looking $400,000 to $600,000 for a home, and we're not talking like a mansion. And in the days before, call it the metro area, $100,000, $200,000 was probably normal. So now you got to go 35 miles north, past Plano, past Frisco. You're into what's called the Prosper area, which when I grew up, that was just farms and nothing.
Right.
And so 35 miles now to drive to downtown is going to take an hour and a half. It just doesn't make sense.
Do you think clients of yours, like, do you think when you do calls and they call, do you think they look at that for salary ranges, like of the area, of the demographics? Because you really got to look at that, right? As an employer offering a job, I mean, it's like, wow, if you're in this certain area in Texas, all I hear about on the news is Texas and Florida. How everybody's just going to these states. And I'm like, wow, is it going to affect them the same way? Are they going to want salaries versus, like, look, California, like the salaries difference when you come over? Do employers really look at that when they talk with you and say, hey, or do you have to educate them of what the going rate around areas are?
I think there are two parts. One is realistic expectations, right? And you know this. I mean, they come to you and they're like, hey, we want everything. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, we used to joke. You say, oh, yeah, they want everything. And then they want them to also have worked at NASA in the past. Right. And, it's like the craziest of crazy. And then, by the way, we only want to pay this. And you're like, that's not what the market is. If you have enough conversations with enough people every day, you know what the market was giving. Right. I mean, it's about supply and demand. I mean, that's what everything comes down to. What is your skill set? What do you bring to the table? And I preach this all the time to everybody. What is your return on their investment? Not yours. What are you bringing to the table? So when you go into an interview and you're talking to people and you're going through all of these things, I always recommend talk about these accomplishments of how you made a difference in the past. What did you do? Right. Why did a company want to keep you? Well, I showed up every day at 8:00 and I left at 5:01 and I was a great employee and blah, blah, blah. That's great.
Right.
That's great. Why do you want a 25% premium over what the market's paying for an accounts, let's just use an accounts payable person. Well, I was able to go in and I was able to discover blah, 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 and save the company $2 million every year. Boom. Whoa, I like that.
Right.
Tell me more. How did you do this? Those are those accomplishments. Every company, let me back up. When a company is hiring, this is a really good one. You know this one. This is what they say. They go, the position pays $100,000 to $125,000.
Right.
Okay. All the company wants to hear and see is at $100,000.
Right.
When you tell a candidate or a person looking for work, the job pays $100 to $125, all the individual looking for work hears is it pays $125.
Right.
They never hear the 100. So that's where you run into a disconnect. You have to figure out the skill set, what you're looking for, look at the market, and then you have to have enough conversations with people to determine, are they worthy of that? Does their work history show that? What are you doing? What do you offer? And then if you can't pay top,
right,
then what is that flexibility of a work from home? Because just as he was commenting, the drive time to work alone, if you're able to work at home 1 day or 2 days a week, what difference does that make? To some people, it doesn't. Our son works for Toyota, lives in Frisco. He's probably 1.5 miles away from work every day, right?
Right.
But he gets to work from home 2 days a week. He's a horrible example of a long time drive. But what I will tell you is that I know he's on phone calls usually like 6 a.m. and he's on calls still late in the evenings. And he doesn't feel like it's not an 8 to 5 necessary that he feels like that. He feels like he's obligated in a lot of ways to do it. So if you can make it work right, and if you can't, then you can't. I truly believe, though, companies that struggle with this need to replace these employees. And I know that's harsh, and I'm probably going to get hate mail. Like, if you can't trust your employee to work at home, why are they working for you?
That is
Can we just address that?
Yeah, I agree with that so much because I hear that all the time, and I'm always, as a leader through the years, and like I told you before, I've been there and I always say, it's like, you say they're not working from home. You can't do this. You can follow up with them. You can do the meetings. There are ways, but you have to do it correctly, or that person might get complacent, and just not do anything. Listen, I've learned
you can't replace everybody.
You have to be disciplined.
That's just it. You can't replace everybody. We had a client just this week that was upset because they received our invoice. It went to accounting. It had the person that we just took the position. It said on the invoice their salary, our fee, and I got a kind of nasty email I think from their CFO. Why would you do that? Our accounting person saw it, and my response was like, this is your person in charge of your money.
Right.
Do you not trust them? Are you telling me that you don't trust the person in accounting to not say anything?
Right.
You probably need to replace the person in accounting instead of getting mad at me because you didn't tell us and our accounting didn't know that you didn't want it, when 99% we do, because when we don't, we get the phone call going, who is it for? How much do they make? What's it? I don't understand that. To me, that's part of the environment and culture of these companies, is that if you're going to have a work from home environment, you can't trust the people, which is what we hear.
Right.
You need to replace them. So I don't know the right answer either on that.
That's the way I would feel. I think you can tell when somebody's working. I bet I'm the one. On Fridays we work remote, and I'm one man. At 7 o'clock, I'm sitting at my desk because I'm like, I just feel like this is what I need to do. You know what I mean? I'm on there. I'm not changing my schedule. I do what I have to do. But I like working in the office more because I wasn't as disciplined years ago with the COVID. If you're not disciplined, like take the breaks, before you know it, you were working more hours sometimes than before. And I was like,
well, that's true.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of people. We just had actually a new recruiter start with us, and she had been going to the office every day, and she's actually having a hard time working remote.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if we have to change it, but is this why?
Right.
And what we figured out was there wasn't enough communication. And I said, well, communication or the small talk, because this isn't romper room either. And so you've got to figure out the best way that works for your culture and environment. It's the only thing I know to say. But I think we're going to see a change. I think it's still coming. I don't know. It won't happen overnight, but there's still companies out there that do it. There's still companies that are highly, highly, highly successful with a remote workforce.
How do you, like, when I've seen there's remote jobs. How do your recruiters even go through? Like, whenever I'm on LinkedIn, I look and I see, wow, stopped applications. That means they got an abundance. And again, majority of them probably not even qualified. How do you go through? I mean, I know you talk about AI with that, but how do you go through ones like that? Because I can imagine posting a remote job, you get everybody from around everywhere.
So that's another really interesting thing, David, is that, you brought up the word like applications, right? So we don't really get applications anymore. That's another thing that's kind of gone away over time. Right. You get connections, you get references, you get referrals, you get a resume. And when we post jobs, it's not so much about posting a job as I kind of change it around. So it's you're putting something out and discussing an opportunity, right? And so that's been really interesting, because in the past we would post a job. You're right. We would post and get a ton of stuff. Now, yes, we put it out and we do get a lot of interest. We absolutely have to utilize AI. We can't get to everybody. It's not physically possible.
That's what I mean. Anymore. I don't know how you do it. You miss out on so many people.
Yeah. Well, but AI is doing a heck of a lot better than it was 3 years ago. Right. I mean, AI today, and we've talked about this, and we took a little bit of a hiccup. We should have been live with our new stuff happening, and we took a little hiccup on some things. I didn't like the results, and so we're probably still another 2 weeks till we truly go live with kind of phase 1.
Right.
I didn't like the results, and I didn't like what I was seeing. That's the problem, is that we already have systems in place. This next level of what's coming with AI, it's a mixed relationship. It's about the technology and the human. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put us like 3 steps ahead. Because what most companies today are doing is they're taking the technology, they're scanning your resume, because people will not fill out the old application. Let's just get brutally honest. It isn't going to happen, right? So they're scanning the information, and then it's being fed somewhere. What we're doing is something different, because we're actually scanning the internet. So we're going out and actually looking at the entire internet and pulling information, which is scary, because I don't think people realize that you may not have a resume, but if I'm looking for a specific niche of what my client wants, I can find them. I can find that person just by these 360 something touch points of what technology will do, and then it generates to contact a person. And I can't tell you how many.
It's like a passive. They're going after, right?
It's unbelievable, because people will reach out after we do the reach out and the drips, and we're getting a hold of these people. They'll come back and like, I don't need. How did you even find me? How did you even get this information? And we're like, everything about us is out there. You just have to have the technology. But what we want to do is match that technical piece with the human. And we want to make sure we keep that. And that's what they're having trouble with today, because as companies are, I think it was Jamie Dimon was talking about, they're actually doing some with Chase this morning, JP Morgan Chase, when they did their release, was talking about that the information that just came out was coming out, but they were hiring back people. They get it. I mean, a lot of people said, hey, we're going to cut back, and then realized you can't. That's what's been interesting from the recruiting piece. Which when we talk about an AI platform, it's not going to be something you would ever have heard of. So we don't use Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. We don't use anything like that. In fact, if you try to use one of those programs on their own, like your desktop version, let's say of Claude, for example, and you're like, hey, I'm looking for an IT director for a position, it actually won't do it. So there's a lot of privacy things that are built in. So everything that we use has been built from basically scratch 3.5 something years ago. And then we have partners that we have brought in that have specialty niche areas that do specific things. Our AI recruiter, who's voice activated, speaks. The next model of what's coming in is our AI recruiter who does a video interview, which I think personally is going to be, that's a game changer. And that's what I'm.
Bill, do you think AI is going to change, like when you look at job boards like Indeed and like for passive searching, I just envision when you were saying that, I can imagine being able to look for people that aren't looking for work. That's what the ones that you want, the passive, without using Indeed or without using a job board. You know what I mean? To try to go after, because LinkedIn.
That's what LinkedIn is. That's what LinkedIn is, David. I mean, I believe that the Indeed, the ZipRecruiter days are numbered. I really do. Just because of the fact that I don't care what level you are. It doesn't make a difference. If you want to be found, then you just have to have activity on the internet. It could be Facebook. It could be Instagram. It doesn't make a difference. It's that electronic digital footprint that we create is much, much deeper than people realize. Now, in other areas of the world, Europe's probably the best example. It's locked down pretty harsh. Our country hasn't done that. So because of that, you can be found if you want to be found.
If you want to be found.
So the way that LinkedIn is really set up is exactly that you don't have to necessarily say, I'm looking.
Right.
You don't have to. You just have to be out there, because if your information's there and I'm looking for someone with your background and I fall upon you, I have an opportunity to then be able to reach out. And honestly, the new way that LinkedIn works with their AI plus recruiter is pretty amazing. Because there's soft touches to see the activity level. It can really tell me whether or not you're going to be interested in even having a conversation, which I don't even know how that would do it. Probably because it watches everything that you're looking at. So as we think about it, it's going to get smarter.
Right.
But we have to keep that human piece in there so that people understand there still is someone looking at this stuff. You
constantly say that. You're always saying that. I mean, it's not like you still have to have that person. I watched a TV commercial showing a guy getting up in the morning. His AI person's folding the clothes. AI things goes out to get his coffee, gets in his car. I'm sorry, it's automatically driven. Gets the coffee. The person's getting confused. And then he goes to a bank and he's like, a person, And it reminds me of all that, because you've always said, like, you get the beginning part, but then at the end you need that human touch.
We had somebody this week. Funny you bring that up. We had somebody this week who, and Shelly, our COO, I was discussing it with her, and she actually did a phone call with this person because the recruiter was concerned that it wasn't a person, that it was a robot, and she was like, "The person sounds like a robot." And I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Sounds like a robot." And I said, "Well, did you get them on video?" They said, "Well, they couldn't. They were busy." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a flag." And I go, "What else happened?" They said, "Well, they asked, hey, do I have to meet with the client before I get hired in person?" And I went, "Whoa, that concerns me also, because everything on this individual met 100% of this criteria, and it was a very technical position." And I said, "Look, get them on a video. Let's just get them on a video. Let's find out if it's real. If you felt like it could have been, an AI robot doing an interview." That's the concern, I think. I think that's the piece that there's going to be a different side that we worry about.
Because I always look at the job boards. I'm like, they must be thinking of something. You know what I mean? They're Indeed is not just sitting back. They know, and I'm sure they have something they're going to try to continue to come out with. ZipRecruiter, all of them, because they're going to have to stay relevant, Well,
this is where that comes into play, right? Because ZipRecruiter and Indeed are fed with resumes. So in order for them to keep moving forward to bring value, they have to have people submitting their resume information and updating it. If they don't have positive resume pluses every month, then they're not adding value for what they're selling to their client. So that's piece one. The second piece is that when you post a position on, let's say, Indeed, as an example, then you're either paying every time somebody clicks on it, or I think they've pretty much gone to just the pay-per-click. Now, they did roll out an AI agent tool that is going to go out. Okay, Well, part of that is that AI agent is going and clicking on your ads.
Right.
I don't know. To me, that sounds fishy,
Yeah,
right?
I've seen it. It's not as listen, I mean,
I
that's
don't
all I
know.
usually have. It's okay, but it's not. It gives you the AI tool. I kind of like it. Gives you
Yeah.
an option, but I still haven't been that successful with it.
Like if you find a job on Indeed,
Right?
go and it has the company. Go to the company.
Yeah, that's what you
Just
said.
go
Okay.
straight to the company. Think about it, guys. Just go straight to the
I
company.
tell
Cut to
everybody.
the
I was
chase.
having a conversation with somebody online, and on LinkedIn, they said what they're having struggles, and I'm like, listen, Google the companies around you. Everything. These smaller companies don't have that money to always use Indeed. They don't have, and they pay very well. But if you don't go and do the work, you got to go to those company websites as a recruiter. Guess what? It pops up right in
Yep.
front of them. I mean, what a great better way for a recruiter to walk in and have candidates. You know what I mean? You have candidates.
I will give the secret here today. You ready? This
All
is
right.
it. And you go and pass this on when you guys do your recruit call to help people
All
too.
right.
If you're looking for work, you take your resume.
Right.
You go to LinkedIn. Oh, Bill, I don't use LinkedIn. Well, shame on you.
Yep. Same
So that's the first thing, right? All right. So my second part, you go to LinkedIn, you click on your profile. There's a piece on there where you can do a post. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, I do a post. There's another little piece next to it. And
Right.
you can not only do a post, but you can do an article.
Right. Yep.
Take your resume and post it as an article.
Oh, as an article, I never thought about that because you're right.
Right?
Because whenever I do the articles when I want a higher viewage, like if I want to
That's
get my stuff out there soon, and I did what you said because when I do that, I'm like, I look at it the next day, I'm like, whoa, what just
but
happened?
why does it do that? And the answer, because Google picks it up
Right.
and Microsoft picks it up and AI picks it up. It is an open area that is open to be scanned. So now your resume is picked up. Forget posting somewhere on a specialty
Wow,
board.
that's different.
Instead, why don't you go ahead and put it somewhere that it's going to be picked up by all the bots and be distributed to not like 100 places. Let's
Right.
talk about being distributed to like 100 million websites for you.
Wow. That
So
makes
you
total
put,
sense. I
you
didn't
put
think
your
of that.
you put your again, keep in mind the disclaimer. You put anything on there personal, it's going to get on the internet. So
Right.
don't put your home address, right? Don't put some crazy email,
Yeah.
crazy at Gmail. Make it relevant.
Right.
If you want to put a phone number, do that or get a Google phone number so you don't have tons
Yeah,
of
I've seen you
spam
can do that.
coming
Yeah,
to you
you
as
don't have
well.
to have that. Bill,
Yeah.
he has a question for you there.
Okay. If you were to invest in only one job portal for U.S. and recruitment, look, if there was only one, it would be LinkedIn. And I don't get paid by LinkedIn.
Right.
I don't get paid a dime by LinkedIn. But it doesn't make sense to be anywhere else. If I was going to make the investment, and I was in the staff, and I was a staffing expert, that would be it. I hear more people tell me they found their position on LinkedIn than anywhere else out
Yep.
there. And look, God bless LinkedIn for keeping on the same path that they started as a business network. I would say it's 90% still business. I still
Right.
see some crazy stuff, which that's fine. We're all going to do that as you build relationships, but they've stayed on target with what they started out to do.
Right.
They haven't gone crazy with it. They haven't gone off the rails. They haven't gone like they didn't create, special glasses for us to see things like Meta
Right.
or something. They did what they said they were going to do.
Right.
And it's grown and there is value. Now, I hear it all the time. In fact, my kids tell me that they're like, "Oh, it's a joke. It's terrible, blah, blah, blah. You should be on Reddit." Okay, great. If that's what you want to do. But I want to be somewhere where I can understand companies, positions, people, their history. That is your resume. And it's an incredible free tool that you can control. You can put stuff, you can take it down, you can connect with people you want to, you can reach out, you can be part of groups all around business. It doesn't mean you're looking for work. If it's someone, this is what you do, like a specialty or whatever it may be. So much information out there that you can connect with, and as a staffing expert, it's expensive. Yeah,
Right.
It's ridiculous. But you know what? If you're starting out, just dip your toe in. You can do the free. You don't have to do everything.
Right.
But remember, whether you're looking for work or you're looking to hire, you got to have 500 connections, guys. If
Yeah,
you don't
that's
have
what you
500
say.
connections and you're on LinkedIn, you're pretty much not really viewable. You got to post every day, 2 or 3 times, different times.
Or Bez,
Yeah.
I'll send you after the show a LinkedIn. It's a new playbook for 2026. I like it, Bill. I'll send it to you. I send it to all the recruiters today at my work. It's outstanding, and it literally tells you how every little thing about the new things that are coming out on there and what to do. Like, for example, real quick, like when I do this show here, I right after this, it's that golden hour, like you said, so I do a lot of, when I do this, I do a lot of likes. I do a lot of congratulating. I go on job board. When people post a job, I make comments because that's impressions. I do 10 to 15 different things. And by just doing that, you're like you said, you just come out. Like I see these views of the show even sometimes, and I'm like, wow, it's because, listen, I don't pay for all. If I had to, that would be super expensive, for just a podcast. But there are ways to get yourself out there. And I try to tell people it's not just once a week. It's not just going on there. Well, I lost my job, like you say. Now all of a sudden you want to be relevant on LinkedIn, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. And what's really interesting, and I'll send you. I don't know how I can put this in here, so everybody, can I do that?
Yeah,
I can put a link.
Let me see. Let's see. I'm gonna put, definitely. I got to figure out too.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I know, right? It's learn as we go. I'll figure that out too. How to send
There's a guy on LinkedIn that, if you're in business or as an individual, and his name is Charlie Hills,
right?
And his LinkedIn, we'll get the link out there to you guys, but it's Charlie-Hills on LinkedIn. You need to follow him. He will help you and has some incredible ways to brand yourself if you're looking for work, or if you're a recruiter. If you're a recruiter and your LinkedIn profile, you're like, I really need to up it. I need to optimize it. Charlie Hills is a great individual, and I wish I could put that in here, David, but I have no idea how to do it.
You can put that right in the comment, and then he can look, or then when you're off, you can even just copy and post it right on the comments. There for all.
Yeah, it won't actually let me do it
on the comment part.
Mm-mm.
Let's see. I'm not sure.
I don't have user rights, I think.
Yeah, usually
we'll get it to you guys, and
yeah.
But he is a great resource when it comes to LinkedIn and utilizing and how to brand, and it's all free. He doesn't charge a thing. Just follow him. Great tips on how to utilize. He uses Claude, and he'll give you the prompts to use and everything, how to literally update your LinkedIn profile.
All right, perfect. And I think that'll be good. And I'll send that to him also for that part. Bill, for the next 10 minutes, I was excited to show. I always talk about your webpage, and and I want to pull it up. And for people that eventually, if they do watch this, you might want to look at it on a computer because you'll be able to see more. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see when I add up here about your website, and how good it really works. I wanted to talk about, like you said, it's so easy to use, everybody. For example, when you go to your candidates, or I'm sorry, let's see, when I go to my candidates and search jobs, I mean, all you do is, I just love this. I mean,
it's all changing too. So the whole new job search function is going to change here in the next week or so, 2 weeks out. And the key for us is, we have this page on there. It's called How to Apply. And it walks you through to explain, because people are, don't understand all the time. And we get that, but you said this in the beginning, and I don't care if it's us or anybody else. The key is to make sure your information gets to where it needs to be. It needs to be in a company's system, and that's where AI is going, guys. And that's the whole key, is that, like I said, on the internet, getting your information out there. Put that resume, strip it down to your home address, and be careful with your cell phone. Like I said, if you need to use something different so you don't get spam, but
Yeah.
put it out on an article on LinkedIn, and it will be picked up within 48 hours. It's unbelievable
How it
what will
works.
happen. And as AI tools continue to grow, one of the new tools coming out that everybody's starting to use is to figure out how do we scan the internet.
Right.
So how do the LLMs pick up all this data, and where does it come into? Well, they're getting a lot better at it because I've been kind of blown away with what we've been looking at. So it's coming. It's definitely there, and so
Does
having it
Google
out
have
there
a
is going to
lot
help
to
you.
do with that, Bill? With seeing how do you think Google plays into all that? Like, I mean, I know when people like they say you go to your website, you really like you put good reviews. I know reviews on like this naturally on Google is fantastic. You always get people that want you to put reviews on a company because I guess that pushes it out there more. I'm sure that means your page is going to show up in more articles, right?
Yes and no, and that is Charlie Hills. Thank you for finding that, Arbaz. I appreciate that. Yes, that is his link. Good job. Here's the thing with and it just came out about the reviews. The reviews, Google's not actually using their reviews. They literally just came out and said we're not using them. And the question comes back to why. Everything about AI is supposed to be about being authentic and authenticating what's going on.
Right.
They can't authenticate that these are real reviews. And so they need a third party to utilize those reviews.
Wow.
Yeah, so
wow.
but Google has everything to do with everything when it comes to the internet. And we need to remember that at the end of the day, like Google tried to launch something called Google Jobs about 7 years ago, maybe.
Right.
And then they kind of backed off it a little bit, and then COVID happened. They were going to create a job board, and they were going to charge just like Monster Career Builder. And honestly, it probably would have been highly successful.
Right.
They dumped it. Why did they dump it? Well, that's not the business that they're in. But what they figured out was that instead, we can make it where we can scan for this information and get it into Google to get better results, higher activity, higher traction, which is what they did. Which is why when you're looking for work and you type in looking for a certain job in Google, they want you to go there to do it. It pulls up a list of different things. Honestly, it's great because you're passive, and you're going out to see it. So Google absolutely is behind this. And again, they're running Gemini. At the end of the day, I've said this, I think there's going to be 3 left. I think you're going to end up with Google. You're going to end up with Claude. And we'll see what the third is. But they're the one, they're in it for the long haul, for sure. Are companies looking at your resume, or they're based on your LinkedIn profile? That's really a great question, Rob. And I think that companies, they look at both. And this is really, really important. When your resume doesn't match up to your LinkedIn, that's a flag. Or when your LinkedIn doesn't match up to your resume, it's a flag. And I can't tell you how many times I see your resume and it will have 3 to 4 additional positions, nowhere to be found on your LinkedIn. And the employer looks at it and it's a flag. And we always tell people, make sure they match up. So if you worked a small gig and it was only a month, then you might not want to necessarily list it on your resume, or don't list it on your LinkedIn. If you are on LinkedIn and you connect with somebody about a position and you haven't had any activity in years, that will cause somebody to ask what's going on. Having your picture on LinkedIn, over 50% higher views than when you don't. When you have a picture and it's open up to anybody not necessarily being connected, it's like 100, it's something stupid, 90% plus. You have to have that, having all your information filled out, the email address. If you're looking for work, that phone number on there is vital to have it. But again, I recommend that if you're going to put your phone number out and you don't want to be hassled, find a different phone number. And there's plenty of them right now that are free. That you can do.
You get blown up with that. I get it all the time, and I asked for it. I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Here we go.
That's great. That's a great question, though, Rob. That really great question, because it comes up more than you would think.
And I'm sure you see that because you're recruiters, even yourself. You have to look at everybody because you're going to put them in front of a customer. They're going to look at their profile. I'm sure they look at it.
social media, or think about this, when we first got Facebook, that was the thing, right? Everybody would go to Facebook, take a look. What's their Facebook like? They don't do it as much anymore. When it does come in is on your second or third interview.
Right.
That's when it comes into play. All of a sudden, they run it through their system, and they're like, "Oh, we found this on social media." We run them through. I call them like the big five, right? We check the basics. If you have it locked down, there's nothing I can do about it. But social media today, I mean, there's like hundreds of platforms, and there isn't a tool to do a social media complete search that's out there and find every single thing. Is somebody's picture from spring break in 1998 going to show up somewhere? Yeah, it probably will, and it's stupid. But guess what? They're going to probably be more lenient than they are spring break 2025.
Right.
Than years and years ago.
It's the truth, because I mean, I even know myself. Listen, I don't get into all that stuff that some people post, and a lot of it's too personal. And I see that. I've seen it when I've looked at candidates, and and I'm like, oh man, I hope the customer wouldn't look at that, because I'm like, dude, take that. I've already told people, take that post down. Take it down, man, please. Because I know the company, when I had the staffing, I know they're going to look at your profile. They're going to look at your social media because they're paying me to pay you, and it's like, I'm sorry, I got to do my research on it. And most of them do. I'm like, there's certain things, politics and all this other stuff. It's like, just get rid of it. Ignore it. It'll hurt you in the long run.
That's exactly it. And, we also have to be very careful. So even when we do this, we have to be careful, because people are like, oh, you're discriminating, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm not discriminating. But if you have a gun held to the head of a dog, I just don't know that I can submit you to that position that pays $200,000 a year. I mean, there's going to be an issue. And be smart about what you're posting. I just believe lock it down. Don't allow it. Don't allow things like that to be out there. If you want to go on there and that's what you want to post, then that's the right that we have in this country. Yep. So be it. But don't make it where I can see it if I'm not connected to you. Make it so that it's only these people that you want to see it.
Yeah, you can. You're right. You can do some settings, because especially when
we have the right. I mean, I'm not saying in any way. And everybody has the political right to say what they want to say. I get that. But keep in mind, you make an impression too. So
All right, we got enough time for another question here. Here you go. What's one process improvement that dramatically increased your placement numbers? Whew.
From I guess I'd have to have my question on this would be from more placements from the candidate perspective or the employer perspective, because there's two sides to that. I would say, the candidate side of it would be, asking the right questions.
Right.
It really, and I'm a big supporter of, I call it the why. And we've had this discussion, I know, in multiple shows, Dave, where you and I have talked about this. I believe in the why. I believe in, look, the piece of paper tells me that's great. I really don't, that's not what I care about. What I want to know about is why. I want to know, why is David looking for work? Why is David in this role? Why does David do this? Why is David the person that he is? And and I've shared with you, even when I do internal interviews, I kind of look over it and I flip it over, and I say, just my question is, I ask them, like, tell me about how you grew up. Tell me about your life. Tell me about I need to know what's different about you. Because that tells me everything I need to know about a person, and for good or bad, it's our story. And when you're interviewing and when you're looking at candidates and speaking with them, it's their story. Can you tell a story? Because that's what an interview is. And guys, if you didn't know that, that's it. From the employer, the big difference for us, I think, was about 6 or 7 years ago, we changed the job intake function, that it's a 45 minutes to an hour, depends on the client. If it's a first-time client, it's at least an hour, and it's multiple people on a call, and it's a conversation about the position. And when an employer calls us to take a job, and we take it on, if they refuse and say, no, I need an admin, as an example, we tell them, we appreciate the phone call, thanks for it, but we're going to have to pass, and we move on. And we say no. We say no more than we say yes.
I think it's great to do that because years and years ago, you always said, "Oh, you don't want to do it." You know what? I just feel being honest and being right up front with the person. I like how you talked about, like when you say dental, you're honest with them. Say, "Listen, a dental hygienist,
Yeah.
you could be looking at 5, 6 months," and I'm like, "Wow, that is something to say." But if it's the truth, then it
Yeah.
makes you look better because then you just don't want to send anybody. You
I,
can't just send a number.
I just got an email from a client, and she's so sweet, so nice, in Chicago, who we've been working on that for 7, 8 months for a
Right,
hygienist, but there's a shortage, and they need one that will work on Saturdays. And so we're not going to give up. We're still looking, but it's difficult to do. And so I think that, the other piece of it is the honest conversation, to be honest with them. Because when you're not, it never works out for you.
it never.
It needs to become more personal than basic yeah, I agree 100%, Rob. And that's where we were going back about the AI piece of it in the beginning and talking about how even for us, our goal, and that's why we didn't push our go live, we've pushed it out, is that there was a human touch piece that still isn't right.
Right.
I, excuse me, 100% am adamant that we can utilize the technology, but the personal touch has to be there. That investment has to be there, and we won't change. In fact, if anything, we're going to invest more into that piece, getting somebody through the process of the basics, if you will, and then it's the why phone call. It's the why conversation, the why video, because that's what it's all about. The why and the who are there is a much stronger representation. Yeah, 100%, Tammy. I mean, 100% agree with you on that, and that's why I've pushed for that years and years and years of pushing, and finally has resonated enough that people recognize it to understand. That's really what it comes down to. And I've shared this with David, and one of my questions that I went back to, I started this 25 years ago, and I got heat in the beginning. And finally, I got kind of ticked off when I got a call one day from the EEOC and said I was violating something. But my question when I do interviews internally for our staff is I ask them, tell me about your parents. And actually, I had somebody file something and said it was a violation of their equal rights. And I'm like, I don't understand. At some point, we all had parents. I get it. Like I was an orphan and I didn't have parents. Okay. I'm sorry, that's horrible to hear that. So how were you raised? In an orphanage? And I mean, that tells me a lot about the person. I mean, this is, to me, what I should have trademarked it, because it's like one of the strongest questions you could ever ask anybody. So the piece of paper tells me all these different things. I want to know about the person. I mean, I want to hear about, I was raised by a single mom with 4 kids, and I was the oldest, and I had to work part-time job to help us support our family, and then I had to pay for school to get through, and it took me 8 years to get through and get my associate's degree. Boom, like you're hired, right? I mean, that's a story. I want to know about that.
I would love that question. To be honest with you, I've never been asked that before, but if I was, I personally, I think that's a great question because, wow, that would open me up easy. You can always think of listen, what you've grown up with your parents and with this, because, man, that's a powerful question.
Yeah. An interview is a story. An interview is telling a story. If you can't tell a story about yourself, how are you going to be the controller? How are you going to be the CIO? How are you ever going to be the CEO of a company? You have to be able to tell a story. And and people don't interview as a career. Let's just back that up too, right? I mean, most people don't. So you need to be able to explain and to tell someone to be passionate about what you do. If you go in and sit down with somebody and go, I'm here for this job, it's not going to work. Now, there's a great scene, and maybe someday you'll get that clip and put it on here in that movie Step Brothers, where they go in and they do their interview, and they're both together. And I know it's a horrible thing. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah,
but listen, they were so passionate that it made you laugh. I mean, the whole thing about interviewing is that you have to be passionate about you, and there's only one person that can be more passionate, and it's just you. No one else can be as passionate as you can be. Tell your story. Yeah.
All right, Bill. Well, wow, we almost did.
Those are great questions, David.
Yeah, those
were awesome.
Sammy, Rob. Yeah. And please feel free to connect. And Rob's a great person too. He's in Pittsburgh, and I've known him for a lot of years. It's funny around COVID. I think everybody made a lot of connections on LinkedIn. You got to know a lot of
Oh,
great people, and there again, I got a lot of, and I know you do too. You get those
yeah.
connections, and you can just reach out. Hey, you're looking for work. I mean, I guarantee I wouldn't have a problem. I'd be like, wow, I'd be putting myself out there, for that part. But
Well, you
um,
should. You should utilize the best tool
yeah,
in front of you that is free.
yep,
And I'm sorry, it's not Facebook.
yep,
If you're looking for work and you need a job, and I hear
right,
people that are like, I've been doing this nonstop, it's not working, then back up and do it different.
do it
And
again.
when I ask people, what are you really doing? And they're like, oh, I spend a couple hours a day on it. No,
No,
finding if you need to feed your family, if
right.
you need to feed yourself, if you are looking and you need a new career, it is a full-time job. That means you get up in the morning like you're going to work, you take a shower, you get dressed, you go and you sit professionally. You don't go in a t-shirt and raggedy and you haven't done anything for days. You go in and you act professional and you do what you need to do and you communicate the way that companies are
I
asking you
like that.
to,
That's a
and you
strong
keep the
message
faith.
too. Yeah,
You
that's a
keep
strong
the
message
faith.
because I think it would really make that person feel better. And I get it. We've all been there at one time in our
Yeah.
life, and it's nice to hear it. But
Can I do a
all right,
shameless
sir.
shout
Well,
out? Can I
looking
do it?
forward
Can I
to
do a
next
shameless
week.
one real quick?
What's
Can I
that?
do a shameless? Can I do a shameless shout out?
Go ahead. Go for it.
All right. If you're in here today, go to LinkedIn. Please go to LinkedIn, look up Frontline Source Group, go to our page on LinkedIn. It's mind boggling. We are about to pass 67,000 followers on our corporate LinkedIn page. Follow us on LinkedIn. Even if you're not looking for it, just follow us. Because information is posted there, jobs that are posted there. We put
Yeah, you have a
everything on
lot of them
there.
on there. I can't
We
believe how
do.
many jobs now that I like
But
your
they're,
post,
they're like this.
it
They're
just
like they're
goes through, and I'm
rotating.
like, man, look at this.
Every day they're updated. We do videos. Follow us on YouTube. That's
Yeah,
another thing. Somebody laughed and said, agencies don't do YouTube. And I think we had like 400 subscribers for years. We just
right.
passed 13,000
Nice.
subscribers on our videos. So
I love it.
scroll, like them, find us on TikTok, everywhere else. But that corporate page on LinkedIn, share it with somebody that's in
Yeah.
need. Tell them to go and upload their resume to our system, and let's see what we can do to help
Yeah, and
somebody
I'll
out.
throw it in the comments as well. So, all right, sir. Well, I'm looking forward to next week. We'll be on. I'm going to play this video build, and afterwards, I just want to send you that email for on the corroborator. So,
Sounds great.
all right, sir. Thank you so much as
Thanks,
always.
David.
I'll talk to you right after this.
Sounds good.